Welcome back folks, and today I'm going to get a glass of water. G'day folks, it's Rob here and welcome to another Aquaponics clip. This one was actually supposed to be titled No More Aquaponics or something along those lines, a little bit clickbaity, because I was going to run through how I was going to rework the system. Geez, they're getting a little bit noisy today. That was to be the plan, and then this video popped up that's changed my whole mind about aquaponics. It's actually by David the Good. He's a permaculturist here on YouTube. His video is entitled The Aquaponics Delusion, Why an Aquaponics Garden Doesn't Make Sense. Now, it's a bit of a clickbaity title. One of the things I was taught by a mentor from the YouTube course I did was you've got to be controversial. So I can see what he's doing here. You know, kudos for him. This isn't going to be an attack piece like some of those wombat YouTubers like to do to create controversy and to get better views. Besides, I've always wanted to do this. I've watched a load of other people do it, so I thought I'd have a crack myself. So I'm not going to address every topic that, that David picks up on. I'm just going to address a few little bits and pieces where I think he may, you know, have been too general in what he said, just for you folks out there who you know, aren't really decided about aquaponics. You know, we've all got to make up our own informed decision. So I thought I'd just cover a few of those points, and yeah, we'll take it from there. So let's press play.
Welcome back. Today I'm gonna get controversial. So the idea is that the fish manure is being filtered out by the plants, and you feed the fish and you get fish out of the system and you get vegetables out of the system, and it's sort of a closed loop.
So at about the 40-second marks, David makes a statement which I thought I should just correct quickly for you folks out there. The manure isn't what we use in the system as such. The manure comes out the cloaca, which is at the other end of the fish. What we're utilising mainly in the aquaponic system is the ammonia that comes out from the gills. So that's just something you really need to understand with aquaponics. A lot of people think it's the waste out the other end. It's just, yeah, it's the ammonia comes out of the gill through their respiratory system. The next little point I wanted to cover, I'm actually featured in. Thank you very much, David.
On YouTube, you'll see a lot of people that are excited about their aquaponic systems. And then you'll see a lot of people who have had failures with the aquaponic systems. Like, a lot of failures.
I've come home to a bit of catastrophe with the aquaponics. I had a catastrophic failure with the chicken coop once. Chickens got out and emptied 3 garden beds within about an hour and a half. They just scratched down to the bottom layer of the wicking beds. I've seen people that have catastrophic failures with their acreage, where pigs have pushed through fence and just ruined a whole year's worth of vegetable because you guys have short growing season in some places. The other way to look at it as well, you know, raising animals, we know people have had catastrophic failures with their chicken coops. They've come out in suburbia and the local dogs have come and just decimated all their chickens. We've had people, we know, lose crops because people just decide to jump the fence and pull all the mangoes off the tree in the front yard. So it's just one of those things. There will always be some sort of catastrophe out there around the corner just waiting to happen. The best we can do is plan for it, like I didn't do in that little section of the clip where I was mentioned. I should have known that that was eventually going to fall down that section of pipe and put the brace in place, which has been done since. Luckily, no fish were lost, so just a little bit of water that went out to the mango tree and gave her a good feed.
I don't know why people are so into it, other than the fact that it looks cool. I mean, you look at it and you go, wow, I can raise meat and I can raise plants and I can have a huge amount of stuff in a small space. But there are a lot of things that can go wrong with aquaponics. You could have the fish have too high a stocking rate, and you can have them not have breeding issues.
So around about the 3-minute mark, David mentions overstocking being an issue, and I have to agree with him there. There's a lot of yahoos out there, some well known, some not so well known, that will tell you that you can put X amount of fish in a system without thinking through the biofiltration and the rest of it. For years now I've been seeing it on forums. I threw 100 fish in my IBC. 3 months later, half of them are dead, and you know, all sorts of problems going on as they're just not following the right advice. I can help you out though, because I do have a clip that covers that if you still want to have a crack at aquaponics after this. It runs through how many fish I like to stock in the system based on how fast the waste can be processed. So it's just one of those things on the learning curve. You've got to do your research beforehand, so you don't have stuff ups down the line. On with the clip.
Why has this complicated mess endured. And I was getting ready to set one up, but I just didn't quite pull the trigger on it because it was complicated. Like, the more you look into it, the more complicated the whole thing gets. It also has lots of plumbing, and I've never been a fan of plumbing.
This pipework has come off this drain and the far drain as well.
Aquaponics is complicated.
Now, in a few places, David's mentioned that it's complicated. Now, yeah, I'd have to agree, it is fairly complicated, but as a mammal that likes to learn and continually evolve, I've chosen to do a course where I'm actually learning the equations, the flow rates, the feed rates, water velocities, pipe velocities, all sorts of things through Ryan Chatterson's course, link in the description below. And I'm learning something new. I'm loving it. I'm not being able to work through it as fast as I'd like, but I'm actually loving learning something new. Putting into practice all that algebra I learned in school that I never thought I'd need out in the big world. I'm actually starting to see a purpose for it. Now he goes on to mention tilapia.
And as somebody posted beneath my article, tilapia is the wonder bread of fish. It's not a great fish. I mean, it's not even that exciting a fish. So yeah, you can get the protein you want, but honestly, I'd rather eat home-raised rabbits or chickens or even goat.
Now, I've seen all sorts of things about tilapia. I've seen posts on Facebook about them having no skin, no bones. They're a genetically modified organism. They're an abomination. I've seen all sorts of furphy, basically BS. They're a fish. If you don't like tilapia, grow something else. Catfish, bass, trout. All these fish are available to you folks over in the States, depending on your state's requirements, of course. Here in Australia, we've got silver perch. We have barramundi, Murray cod, sleepy cod. We also have a catfish, Tandanus tandanus, and there's also what I consider to be the king of aquaponics fish, jade perch. They're a nice fatty fish, and they're the ones we like to use in our system here. You're just not restricted to tilapia. That's just something a lot of people like to throw out there as a bit of a clickbait. You're growing aquaponics, you're growing tilapia, you're poisoning your family. It's just a load of BS, frankly.
Honestly, I'd rather eat home-raised rabbits or chickens or even goat.
Now, he also brings up the fact that he'd rather eat home-raised rabbits or chickens. Now, that's fine for him, and I know a lot of people only see their own small bubble and they only relate to their own small bubble. Just let you know that I'm outside that bubble here in Australia. We have restrictions on rabbits. If I grow a rabbit in my backyard and I get caught, I face a fine of 44,000 Australian dollars because they are a declared pest in our regions. Another thing, chickens he mentions. We can only have less than 5 chickens. I think we can only have 3 chickens on our property here. I can't raise chickens as a meat crop here. I can raise them for eggs, and we intend to do that in the near future. Yes, folks, I will. But we cannot grow enough to provide us meat. Fish, on the other hand, we aren't huge eaters of fish, admittedly, but we've got enough there for a couple of meals every month if we rotate the system correctly. I mean, other people in America, I've got a friend in Florida that lives in a community, Frank, g'day mate, he can't raise animals on his suburban block to eat to raise protein, but he can do aquaponics as long as the community board okay it. It's just one of those things, really. Sometimes your hands are tied and you just got to go with what works, and for some people that's aquaponics. Earlier in the clip, David mentioned, or actually he played a clip of someone else saying they had to babysit their system. Now, that's fine and dandy. There could be a number of reasons why that statement was made. He then goes on to mention the Southern Region Aquaculture Centre or Association, where they're talking about time, usage and management when it comes to working with aquaponics.
An aquaponics system requires frequent attention. Even on a small scale, aquaponics systems are complex because of their multiple components and requirements. Disease prevention, water level control, and preventing rodents and other problems require inspection and care of the system throughout the day, 7 days a week.
These guys are basically based around commercial systems, not backyard systems here. So I've mentioned this before in, I think, our aquaponics, what is aquaponics clip, but I'll run through it here again. Time, the amount of time I spend on the system a day, feeding fish, doing a walk around and harvesting food for dinner, 10 to 15 minutes at the most. I mean, some days it's only 5 minutes. I come out, throw in a handful, don't even harvest anything from the system. Other days I might come down here, lop off a few chives, some Okinawan spinach, some Brazilian spinach, and that's all happening under 5 minutes. At the same time, I'm looking at the system for pest pressure. Now, soil patch, with the amount of beds that we have here, they're wicking beds, so they do save us a lot of water and a lot of time. But I'm still on a rotating basis of being out here for 20 minutes every second or third day to water these beds just to make sure they're all right. And then we've got, you know, the general 2 to 3 minutes it takes to walk up to the bed, chop off some greens and then walk back into the house. If I didn't grow the way I did grow, in wicking beds raised off the grounds with a load of mulch on top, I can guarantee you, looking at friends who grow in the ground and don't mulch, I would be out here weeding for a couple of hours every weekend with the number of beds we have in our yard at the moment. So aquaponics is zero weeding. So there is that other factor of, you know, there is maintenance you need to do in a soil patch. So he also, in that section there, addresses that the fish portion of the system doesn't make a lot of money.
And even if you manage to work out these details, the report further notes the fish portion of the aquaponics system was not profitable, with the production costs of tilapia less than market price in only one study, and either higher or essentially the same in the others.
Now, that's really not an issue for anyone that I know that grows in the backyard. We're growing fish to feed ourselves, and we're growing fish, we know where it's come from, we know there's been no antibiotics or other chemicals added in there that happens in commercial farmed fish. So that's one of the big bonuses. The other bonus is we're naturally filtering the water from the aquaculture side and growing some bonus veggies on the other side, on the other hand. So flies. Can't believe I missed this bit earlier, so I'm recording it up here in the house. This section here, David's talking about growing basil and trying to grow it for profit.
Let's talk about the vegetable portion. Lettuces and greens and herbs like basil. Basil can be a profitable crop. I was reading on that. You can grow profitable basil in an aquaponics system. But why? Why not just grow it in regular garden beds?
So something you folks may not be aware of, aquaponics grows a lot faster than soil beds, just like hydroponics. There's a reason people grow commercially in aquaponics and hydroponics, and that's because you can turn over the plant a lot faster. So salads in particular and greens grow a lot better in aquaponics and hydroponics than they do in soil. Speed-wise, nutrients, you still got to look after them on the side, but you can get a faster turnover of crop from these water-based growing systems. Another thing I can't believe I forgot is that aquaponics uses far less water, along with hydroponics, than normal conventional soil growing. Basically, the water's staying in the loop, going round and round and round. You're only losing a little bit to evaporation, depending on how you've designed your system, and the rest the plants are using and are transpiring it basically into the atmosphere. So if you're on restricted water use, like we are here at times during droughts, aquaponics is a definite bonus in that situation.
Here's another thing I don't like about aquaponics. All that plastic. And some of the systems have styrofoam as well. You're talking tons of plastic to make these systems. They are a big mess of plastic. All the PVC piping, the IBC totes, and all that junk.
With the plastics we use, they're all high density polyethylene, so they're all easily recyclable. There are some forms of plastic, like the styrofoam can be recycled, but it's not as easy at the moment as I understand it. But the plastic will be going off once we're done with it to be recycled and turned into something else. I mean, even now your plastic wrap, if you buy things with plastic wrap and your chip packets and that sort of garbage, that stuff can be recycled. Here in Australia, all you need to do is bag it up and take it to a local supermarket. They collect it, gets trucked off, and it gets turned into a new plastic product like decking, and I think there's some outdoor furniture. So it's not necessarily going straight into landfill. There are, you know, we are pretty smart as a species, I like to think, and we are working out more ways that we can recycle these man-made products.
There's a lot of extra stuff that goes into an aquaponics system that is unnecessary. You're trying to create a natural loop. And now that's not to say that you can't make good loop systems that work with fish and plants, like rice paddy systems with fish raising, or where you have a paddock grazing system where animals go through and then you plant the ground after the animals go through, or you have your chicken tractors and you drag them over an area, they clear the ground, they break the pest cycle. All that stuff is awesome. But the aquaponics system is a big, complicated stuff.
we can't do that. I can't fit a rice paddy in here. I can't fit a chicken tractor. Well, I could fit a small chicken tractor in here, but I think it's rather wrong. I'll just let them free range. And beef, I don't think my neighbours would like that too much. There's always the guinea pigs, but yeah, it's just not practical in backyard settings where most people who do aquaponics are, at least here in Australia.
It's a big, complicated system, and if you want to feed yourself, you are relying on the plumbing to keep working, you're relying on the aeration to keep going, you're relying on the electric to keep running.
Also brings up the point of being tied to the grid or being tied to a power source. Yep, that's just the fact of aquaponics. No one's invented a perpetual pump. One of the things that we've done is we have a feed into the grid, back to grid solar system on the roof. So that does subsidise some of the power we use in the system. Not only that, there's people who are out there now using 24 volt solar based systems, and some of these systems are getting very sizable.
It makes more sense to work with good, solid, proven, organic systems where all you need is some tools, some seeds, and you can go out and you can plant a whole hillside and get stuff going. Those kind of solutions are fantastic, and they will work almost anywhere.
And I have to agree with him, planting in the soil, we're never going to beat it. I can't see aquaponics taking over, as I may have mentioned before. Soil will be king, always will be. So yeah, no argument there from me or most of the other aquaponic people I know. One thing I do have to pick him up on though is he's talking about even if you've got bad soil, you know, you can make it good. It's easier than an aquaponic system.
If you have abundant, you know, you've got good soil, you've got rain, even if you have bad soil, you can make the soil good easier than you can build an aquaponic system.
I've seen people set up an aquaponic system over a weekend, have it cycled within 6 weeks and have food coming out of it within a couple of months. I know people over in Perth, it's all based on your own situation. That's what I don't like about blanket statements. I know people in Perth who can put a whole ton worth, a cubic metre or 3 cubic feet of organic matter into their soil, come back next season and it's gone. It's just the soil is that sandy, it just disappears. I know other people who have been at clay for years trying to break it up so they can grow their veggies, and they're throwing everything at it, bought products, natural composting methods, mulching, and they're still having problems growing a decent crop in it. You know, I think you need to learn how to grow in the soil if you have it available to you. One of the things I did learn though, reading through permaculture when I was younger, and then after doing the PDC with Mr. Lawton, was that, you know, a system is a piece of many parts. So for me, the aquaponics isn't a closed loop. Eventually, after we end up with a little breeding room in the house, we're going to have crickets and black soldier fly larvae that will come in and feed a protein source to the fish. As it stands at the moment, all my solids come out to the veggie patch. We grew some wicked warrigal greens, New Zealand spinach for a number of years just on the wastewater from the radial flow filter that removes all the solids that don't contain much ammonia. You know, we've had success including our aquaponic system as part of our system here in the backyard. It doesn't have to be something off to the side, it's something you can include into the system. It does say a few things that makes me think that this is just a little bit of clickbait.
Feel free to leave me a comment and fight with me over it. I have seen impressive systems. I have in the past been like, whoa, I want to do that, but I am so over it now.
Yeah, I'm not going to fight you. I don't know anyone else who will fight you. You've got your opinion. There's always going to be fanboys of aquaponics, fanboys of permaculture, fanboys of biodynamics, bioponics, hydroponics. There's always going to be people who like certain things. I can tell you that if you are one of my followers and you've taken offense to his video, please don't. It's his opinion. We're all allowed opinions. Don't go over there and give him hate. Go over there and share your success stories. Go over there and tell him how well it has done. You know, it's just one of those things. If you feel that passionately, share some positive rather than trying to knock him down. You know, he's just doing his own thing, and all the best to him. So yeah, I do hope that you enjoyed that little bit of a clip. And like I said, I've never done anything like this before. And David, I hope you haven't taken offense to anything I've said. In the scheme of things, it doesn't really matter if you do, because, you know, we're all big people and we've all got to live with whatever's thrown at us. So there you go. I will pretty much leave it there. I will try and film another clip later talking about the aquaponics and try and get that up by the weekend, but we'll just wait and see how we go. I've got a few other bits and pieces on. and I was supposed to use this time to film that clip, but yeah, I thought I'd have a crack at this. Just quickly, thank you to all you patrons over there on Patreon who are helping to support the channel. You can find the super contributors down in the link below. I don't advertise on my website, but I do sell a few things if you want to pop over there and have a look at the uniseals and root pouches and our affiliate links to our Amazon influencer store and the aqua gardening folks here in Australia. But I'm going to stop rabbiting on now. I do hope you have an absolutely fantastic one, and I will catch you later. Cheers all.